Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the June 10th Standing Committee of Council meeting. Being 6:30, we'll call the meeting to order. And before we adopt the agenda, there's just a quick amendment to 7E, the excused absence. We'll add Mayor Jamieson. And I believe that was it for amendments to the agenda. Any declarations of interest this evening? Seeing none. Oh, I guess so, hey? Yeah, so we need a mover for the agenda. Councillor Willows, seconded by Councillor Wall. All in favor? Okay, motion carries. Any declarations of interest? Seeing none. Announcements, award ceremonies, and presentations. We have with us the CEO of the Hay River Health and Social Services Authority, Aaron Griffiths. We'll do this first.
Okay.
Let Aaron come in and go.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Stacey. Thank you for the opportunity to present, provide a brief presentation to council tonight. I have it, like I mentioned, it's a brief presentation, so I'm open for questions after. If there's any questions folks may have on something I may touch on, or any other concerns or issues or comments or questions you may have on any other of the issues under the Health Authority. So before I begin, I would like to talk about practitioner coverage for the summer months. That's always a topic of discussion within the community. Before I start, though, I would like to thank Julia McIsaac, our physician coordinator, who has gone above and beyond over the last few months to secure physicians throughout the year, but especially during the summer months when it's most challenging to have folks come into the community and be on the ground for the summer. So really pleased to say that Julia has secured, we're averaging anywhere from 1 to 3 physicians in community any given week throughout the summer, depending on the week. And we're also having 1 to 2 nurse practitioners in community throughout the months of June, July, and August, and into September. So we will have an emergency room qualified physician in community throughout the summer months, and we will have clinic services and OPD services as well. With that said, though, recognizing a couple of the weeks we only have 1 physician in community working in the emerge, we will offset and support that physician by offering virtual support, so they can obviously rest. They can't be on call the entire time while they're in community, so we will offset them with virtual support as well. We've also engaged in a company, as we have in the past, to secure a paramedic, 1 or 2, within the community for the summer months to, again, augment those physicians who are only 1 or 2 in community for any length of time over 4 or 5 days. So you'll see some new faces in the emerge department over the next few months. And so really pleased with that. We continue ongoing recruitment. Again, this update may be outdated as of tomorrow as Julia continues to recruit for the summer months and well into the fall. And so with that said, we have a commitment to the community for ongoing communications and ongoing updates. So every Friday you'll see on our website and our Facebook page that we do have an update on physician status in the community. And that is those updates are based on expectation of care and also service levels. So over the summer months, they may be limited or reduced, but that's just based on the number of folks we have in community that week. And the reason they're based on service levels is because, like I said, we're doing that ongoing recruitment. And so what we may post on a Friday, or I might say tonight, may change tomorrow because of those ongoing recruitment efforts. So we want to make sure that services are available and level of service level are available as well. So those weekly updates will continue well into the fall as well. So we've made that commitment, and in order to keep the community updated as well. So really pleased with that, with the progress. Like I say, Julia has worked with NTHSSA and their recruitment efforts as well in order to secure practitioners over the summer months for the Hay River Health and Social Services Authority. Another update, my second update for the evening, again, is based on our social programs. As you know, as the community has changed, events in community have happened, our social programs continue to be under a lot of pressure for service, and service demand continues. Just to talk about a couple of the services that we are offering, recently within our social services department, we continue to have 8 foster homes in community. We continue to recruit for foster homes in community, and our annual recruitment campaign, formal campaign in conjunction with the Foster Care Coalition in Yellowknife, happens every fall. So right now, as we continue to recruit and continue to support families, like I said, with the 8 foster homes, we have increased into 22 kids in care right now. We reached 22 kids in care in last quarter, and that's based on the situation of substance-related crimes in community and also recent evictions that happened in community as well. Those were a direct relation to adding additional supports, additional demand onto our services. So our social services, all of our programs under social services are now based on a lot of those, like I say, substance-related crimes and also those recent evictions. We're supporting individuals, we're supporting families, and we're supporting couples because those folks are still in town. So those have added some pressure to our teams as well to help support those folks the best we can right now. So recognizing, as I mentioned, the social needs of our community continue to rise, we've taken the opportunity over the last few months and even the last year to try to bolster our social programs the best we can so we can support those folks and meet them where they are in their journey and where they need the supports. So as part of that, what we've done is we've enhanced, like I said, our foster care coordinator position. We've always had that position, but they've been, in the past, they've focused more on child welfare. We've adjusted their time and we've adjusted their position so they can have more of a focus on foster care and supporting our families. Because it's also, we're finding too, we're also, part of her portfolio is finding funding for specialized training. Some of the kids that we have now in care that need specialized supports, that some of our families are just not able or capable to provide. So we do have some families that are some kids that are out of province as well who require that, or out of community, that require that specialized care. So right now we're focused on finding some funding in order to do some own training so we can keep these kids closer to home as well. As part of that planning, we also have our family preservation program, and we also have our Healthy Families program. These programs have been long established in the community, but again, they're working and supporting hundreds of families in community. And it's either from parenting programming to food security programming to social programming to just even networking with our partners in community. However we can meet the needs of those families and those kids at the time, that's where those folks are working. But again, between the 2 programs, that's 4 staff members, and there's, like I said, the demand is getting significantly larger. So they do rely on networking with our other communities, or community programming as well for kids and family. A new position we have this year, and unfortunately it's only a 1-year term based on funding, is the Youth Transition Coordinator, and that's within our social programs as well. This position is focused on working with our youth and our youth also up to the age of 24, 26, and helping those kids if they're aging out of social programs, if they're aging out of our supports, if they're in high school, they need additional supports, if they need help finding jobs. Whatever they need, whatever supports they may need outside the family, that's what Jennifer, our employee, is working with them. Like I said, this is only a 1-year term, so what we've asked Jennifer to do is be very vigilant in the data collection, because we've already seen a high demand for her. She's got 8 kids officially on her program, but she's got 36 outreach she does every 2 weeks. Like, she's very, very busy. She's working with Scott at the youth center as well, working with our social programs as well. And so we'd like to continue this program, but in order to do that and go for funding and additional extended funding, we need that data. So that's been a very, very important for us, for her to gather that data and to promote her programming. And a lot of her referrals for supports are through our social programs already, and also working with our community counselors and our schools as well. So we're hoping that position continues in community, because that's an investment that you will never lose on. Additionally, we have 2 medical social workers in community as well. They're located at the hospital. Right now, what their focus is a quarter time in community, but 3/4 time in facility. So they're helping our nurses with discharge planning. They're helping our inpatients with housing options, income support, connecting the income support, doing that networking for folks that may not know how to manage themselves through a system for the supports they need. They're working with our residents at Woodland Manor and SLS. To support them the best they can and meet their needs as well. So really excited to have those 2 positions as well as part of our social programs. And also a social services case aide is a new position for us, and that is an administrative position. that is new for us this year, and we're going to be continuing with this position, that they provide the admin support for our social workers. So for example, they, instead of our social workers picking up and dropping off kids at school, our case aide will do that. Doing a lot of the filing, doing a lot of the notes, the case notes, that type of thing. So this position allows our social workers to do that direct client care, that direct client support, and the caseworker assists by supporting the families the best they can with a lot of admin and day-to-day tasks and work and support. So that's been a real help to our team as well. And then of course we have our community counseling team. We're currently, I believe we hired our last mental health worker, so we should be fully staffed hopefully in the summer. And we're looking at 3 community wellness workers are on our team right now. We only had 2 before, now we have 3. We wanted to bolster our community counseling team and our mental health team because in one quarter they received 314 referrals. And those referrals are self-referrals and also referrals throughout any other GNWT department and throughout the health system as well. So the social programs and the social envelope that we have at the health center, we're really finding that the demand continues to increase. And we're meeting the needs of these folks the best we can where they are in their journey, but of course we can always do more and we can always do better. But I wanted to bring that to the attention because I know our community really drives that demand, and I know working on the healthy, or being part of the Healthy Communities Committee as well, is going to be part of that solution as well. But it's an all-community solution. It's an all-community support for a lot of these folks. And so I just wanted to bring that awareness to everyone tonight as well. Again, that's a really brief update on a few things I wanted to bring forward, but I'm open to any questions folks may have on anything I've discussed or anything that I may have not mentioned.
Thanks, Erin. Anything from council? Councilor Bouchard, go ahead.
Yeah, just on the physician stuff, I mean, you obviously work with the territorial government on some of this stuff. Do we see a light at the end of the tunnel? Is there a bubble of doctors that are coming through the education system or anything like that? Do we see a reprieve to the shortages over the next 3-5 years type thing? Is there any kind of indication of that?
So we've worked with our territorial partners, obviously. The NTHSSA is responsible for hiring physicians and recruiting physicians for the entire Northwest Territories. So they do those jurisdictional scans. So they would know what that might look like. Unfortunately, across Canada, there's a vacancy for over 20,000 physicians, and we're only graduating 1,000 a year. But with that said, there's also opportunity from a lot of physicians coming up from the U.S. I understand that that's happening in the southern jurisdictions as well, if we can jump onto that. And there's also more roles for nurse practitioners, and that's right now for us, because we have our own nurse practitioner, a locum contract, our contract for our long-term nurse practitioners, our staff MPs, that we have the capability to increase that contract to attract more MPs. And we also, right now, you may have seen for the last few months, we've had an advertisement out for 4 nurse practitioners for the community. And what we see is we envision a nurse practitioner primary care medical clinic. There's also nurse practitioners that will do gerontology at Woodland, at long-term care facilities. We could expand that scope into outpatients. We expand that scope into inpatients. So physicians, absolutely, there is a barrier for physicians, obviously. We are competing across Canada, across the globe, as you know. They just recently increased the locum contract, the territorial locum contract for physicians. We do have a voice at the table for that, but ultimate decision is with the NTHSSA and the GNWT the Department of Health to finalize that contract. So I don't have an easy answer for you, Robert, but I think instead of putting all of our hopes into physicians and everything in a physician bucket, I think we need to look around. I think we need to look at nurse practitioners. I think we need to look at a care team that your practitioner is your diabetic nurse, or your practitioner, or you get to know you, or it's a laboratory support, or it's public health, or it's your home care nurse. I think putting all of our eggs in a basket of physicians, we've been doing that for many, many, many years, right? And I think we really need to get creative on how other ways we can support community and provide those services. With that said, though, we need physicians, obviously, for the emergency department for that critical care piece that MPs cannot do. But I think we need to get creative.
Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Bouchard.
Yeah, just as you indicated, I know a while ago we had nurse practitioners, and I know it's a funding issue, and I'm wondering if they've broken down some of those barriers, and if there's anything we can do from council's perspective to kind of encourage that. I know there was lots of column funding before, and
Yep.
we couldn't use the doctor money for nurse practitioners, and nurse practitioners, you know. So I'm just hoping that some of those barriers are broken down. I think some of it's just people want to see the same physician, nurse practitioner on a steady basis. For most of the concerns that I get in the community are just, I can't see the same person, they don't know who I am. Or I was just speaking with a lady yesterday, just like, I get an annual checkup and now I'm 16 months into it and I should be seeing a cancer survivor and stuff. So it's just like, they want to see that regular once a year doctor or even every 6 months type thing. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned, we have 4 positions posted. Before, we were only funded for 1 nurse practitioner. Now we're funded for 5. So we've broken that funding barrier down as well, obviously, with those postings out. But yes, and other successes is the returning physician, right? The returning nurse practitioner, the rotating nurse practitioner and physician. That's where the successes are, that they continue to come back, because you can have a family nurse practitioner or possibly a family physician if we have them coming back to community on a rotating basis. You're exactly right.
Thank you. Councillor Lacusta, you had a question?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I guess, Aaron, when you're speaking, there's a couple things that popped out to me. One was the breadth of the social programming that you guys have, and that's pretty impressive. But you did comment at one point about trying to meet their needs, so the needs of the clients, and that got me thinking about how do you gauge success? Like in medical practice, you gauge success because people get better, but with social, not necessarily so. So what tools are you using to gauge success that the social medical programming is actually making a difference?
Absolutely, thank you. So we're gauging success by if people obtain housing and they secure that housing, they go out to treatment and they're successful in treatment. We keep the family together. Some of the families, simple as they've gone a week and they've made their own meals and they've been successfully making nutritional meals. So it's depending on where folks are at, and that's how we gain some of our successes. And a big one is keeping families together. And if we have to place children, place them with extended family versus place them in a foster home. So that's another success for us as well. Yeah.
Anything further from council? Councillor Bouchard.
Yeah, and just in my past experience, obviously, as MLA, I always had kind of the speed dial of, I think, your customer service type thing. And, we still, as the councillors, we talk to everybody in the community, or people talk to us sometimes with a louder voice. And, it's not our bailiwick, but, yeah, just maybe having that contact for who your customer service person is so that we can refer people to when they're having troubles getting their regular meeting, or, like I said, regular checkup that they get annually type thing. Who do they contact? I used to know who that was, but I don't now. It would be nice if we could share that with our counselors and people, so we can pass that information on. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Glenn McPhee is our quality coordinator, and I can I can provide Stacey with his contact information and share that, and even business cards as well, because that's exactly who we need to hear from. We need to hear from folks. I want to hear from folks about the struggles they're having in our health system, because if I don't understand, as not a big user of the health system, if I'm not aware of the concerns and the struggles they're having, I can't be part of the solution. And so I highly encourage folks to come forward, if they're comfortable, to come forward to myself or anyone at the health center, or the minister, or any of you, to bring their concerns forward, because we want to be part of that solution. We want for people to have access to care. And if we are placing barriers, or if the larger government's placing barriers, or what those barriers are, if it's transportation, if it's medical travel, if it's something local, we want to hear from that in order to have that solution. Because if we hear from one person may have a concern, we're thinking others will have that same concern. It's not just the one person. So yeah, I appreciate that, and I'll definitely share that information with Stacey.
Okay, thanks, Aaron. Nothing else? Oh, Councillor Squirrel.
Masitro, Deputy Mayor, and Masicho for the presentation. It's really good to get a general idea of what's going on. My question is in regards to the 8 foster homes. And then you mentioned too there's 22 kids in care as of right now. I guess this is more just of a comment. To support the foster parents, it would be nice if there was like a platform where parents can talk amongst each other, or even respite parents, because I know that it's usually the same kids that we get, and it'd be nice to have a way to connect with them still, like even they're in somebody's care, but you want to reach out to them and you want to support them, but you don't really have a platform to really do that. And I kind of think it's informal to go through like a Facebook or but if there was a way that we can network amongst foster parents and respite, and that way too we're supporting those foster parents so they don't burn out, because I know some of them are very overwhelmed. And yeah, so I guess that's more of a comment. And my question is in regards to the Jordan's Principal funding. I know that they've structured it differently, so I'm just wondering if that impacts any of your work. Or
Yeah, unfortunately, it will impact some of our programming. We're doing an analysis of that right now, our staff are, because it is fairly new. So I don't have the breadth of it right now, but I can certainly report back.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councillor. Anything else from Council? Seeing nothing, thank you again, Aaron, for the update. Sounds like there's some positive things happening, especially on the social program side, and we always look forward to your updates, but thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, and staying on announcements, award ceremonies, and presentations, I just have one. I'd like to just express our sympathy and say that the family of Mike Rowe is in our hearts. He passed away over the weekend, and a long-time resident of the community and business person, and certainly left a big impact in A River and in the north, and big local family here that definitely feeling that loss. So just make a note that our hearts are with them. And I believe Councillor Wall had something.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just wanted to emphasize the success of the 2025 Track and Field Championships this past weekend. 1,030 athletes, 160 volunteers, 21 visiting schools, energized coaches, too many to count parents and grandparents, amazing displays of sportsmanship, broken records, and an outstanding level of competition. The amount of dedicated volunteers, work, and uncountable hours of preparation that enables a small town like ours to pull off a meet of this caliber and size is another testament to our relentless community spirit. I would like to publicly thank all of the volunteers and the athletes, especially J.J. Hurst and Tim Porjuk, for their dedication in promoting young athletes in the NWT. I think that if you asked any volunteer last weekend, why do we do this? Because it was long. All of us would say we do it for the kids. I am still proud to live in a community that puts everything on hold for a couple of days for the kids.
You're here. Councillor Lacusta, did you have something? Okay.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I attended, I'm the liaison for the Library Committee. I attended a meeting last week. I think I sent all the councillors a one-page note on the result of the conversation relevant to the town. Just wanted to maybe underline a couple of the items. One is that they're in a final year of a 5-year agreement with the town for funding, and they would like to renew that this coming year. They're going to be sending me some materials. I'll pass that over to the SAO and the mayor, and then they can have the conversation they need to have. The other thing they brought up to me that was town relevant that I thought the council should know about is they're continuing to have issues with people causing issues in and around the library, and they wanted to have a conversation with the bylaw enforcement to see if there's something that could be done to help them with their issues there. But that's it. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor.
Okay, noted. Anything further from council? Councillor Dufert.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just wanted to keep it in the forefront of the good work that's being done at the arena to get Hay River a repeat win in the participation contest. And I'd like to challenge all the council members to get our own team going, to get some results in there. Is everyone on a team? Okay. Okay, because Jordan and Courtney are doing a very, very good job at getting the word out there, and it would be a spectacular if we could win 2 years in a row. Okay, we're in 5th spot right now. Thank you.
Agreed. I'm sure Courtney and Jordan will be happy to hear that you mentioned it at council. Anything further? All right. So for information only, we've got councillor liaison updates. We'll start at Councillor Willows, if you have anything.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. The CEO was here this evening, so that pretty much takes care of my health department situation. In terms of the Healthy Communities Committee, we had a presentation from Safe Grow here a number of weeks ago, and they'll be coming into town to do some training, looking to potentially come up with a project with one of our partners, and we'll see how that feathers out. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Willows. Councillor Squirrel, anything?
Message Joe, Deputy Mayor. There's not a whole lot to report on right now. I do know that West Point First Nation is having an election soon, so by the end of the month they'll have a new chief and council. Yeah, other than that, that's all I got. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Lacusta.
Well, I already gave the library one out of order. Apologize for that. I'm sure Councillor Bouchard will have something to say to me about that. The museum is open Wednesday through Sunday, and it'll be open now for the rest of the summer through September. So come out to the museum. We've got programming.
Thank you, Councillor Wall.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Last week, I went to the Beautification Committee meeting. They're a very busy organization. They're cleaning up trash on the Trans-Canada Trail and organizing litter pickup in the next couple weeks. They're also organizing and improving spaces, moving picnic tables, doing flowers. And there was a lot of discussion and organizing on the upcoming planting season. A lot of talk about flowers and cleanup. I also, a couple of weeks ago, went to the Rotary Club meeting. They too are busy. They're preparing for the upcoming Hay Days in July. They also spoke about the wine festival and its good things and its things that they need to work on. Paisley Fraser is coming to visit as well next week. And there will be an executive change July 1st, so they're going to be doing some strategic planning in that. So those are my updates. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Councillor Wall. Councillor Bouchard.
Yeah, on the local emergency measures, we're continuing to meet every couple weeks and still keeping, tabs on, with MACA and stuff like that. I think we're not too concerned about wildfires in our area because of the burns that we have around our community, but potentially having to host and stuff like that. So we're still having a couple meetings a month just to discuss things that we need to keep on top of and be prepared for. On the Economic Development Committee, we have a meeting this Thursday. It's the beginning of a workshop with a couple consultants we have hired to do the economic development plan for the community. They'll be meeting with the committee, first meeting with the committee just to get some frameworks discussed, and yeah, we're looking forward to that. So those are the two projects right now. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Duford.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. On behalf of youth initiatives, I was speaking with Scott, who is looks after the youth center, and they've got some nice things going on there. They've got a greenhouse full of plants and flowers that they're going to be hoping to sell soon, and they're also busy with Pride and Indigenous History Month over there. Also coming up in July, the Soaring Eagle Friendship Center and the Colquitt Fiddle Association are jointly hosting a big fiddle camp this year. We haven't had a big one in Hay River for several years now, so we've got lots of registrations already from as far away as Edmonton and Grimshaw and Betchico, and we're hoping for up to 50 kids coming in, and that's the week of July 14th to the 18th. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. And just on my end, from the chamber side of things, I met with Terry. He's back. Hoping to have a meeting sometime in the near future to kind of see where things are and where they're going with that. We had one kind of tentatively scheduled, but again, lots of things seem to be impacting Terry's schedule there lately. So with that, we'll move on to administrative inquiries. SAO Smith, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks, Deputy Mayor. Good to be back. Yeah, just returned to the office yesterday after a short vacation. Just want to thank Blair Porter, our Director of Corporate Services, who was acting SAO during my time away, so did a good job at controlling some of the things. So yeah, getting back into the full swing of work. I'll be just providing brief updates for each of the departments. The month-end reports are hot off the press and in your council package, so not too much more to add to that. But I will pause after each area just to see if there's any questions. So with protective services, and actually we just got there's some late circulation on the municipal enforcement report and the emergency services reports in your council package. So just wanted to, just in case you didn't get through them yet, a couple points under the municipal enforcement report. Just in general, our enforcement numbers are up, with really more focused resources for bylaw enforcement. We've had our protective service specialist who's been with us now for a couple months or so, a few months now, and has been able to really focus more than we have over the last year or so on that area. Unsightly priorities in accordance, or properties in accordance with your approved bylaw enforcement strategy are our top priority right now. A lot of citations and stuff issued over the last month or so, and really took advantage of the community curbside cleanup program that's still going on as an opportunity for people to find compliance through disposal of waste and things around their homes. Also, a lot of good work on ATV enforcement and education, meeting with schools, meeting with ATVers on safe practices and those that are compliant with our bylaws, well, with the Traffic Act more than anything. Yeah, and quite a bit of traffic enforcement as well. Several vehicles now we've been actually impounding and as part of enforcement activities, whether they're on the streets or derelict or for various reasons. So that's something fairly new compared to prior years that we're dealing with those. From the emergency services report, you'll note in it that we're continuing with our 1001 fire training for our firefighters. That's ongoing, and they did some practical evaluations just recently. They've been doing competition to fill their vacant captain positions, so strengthening that kind of paid on-call volunteer group that does help with the management of nearly 30 positions. They did spend in May planning and working on a mock fire response activity over at the Imperial Oil bulk plant, and that's a fairly significant, or can be a fairly significant risk under various emergency scenarios. So yeah, good exercise between our department and the folks at Imperial, just reviewing and practicing and understanding what might be needed in case of a situation there. And also doing good work still on the deployment of our occupational health and safety system. New employee orientation video was released to be part of our onboarding process, and that's now in use. It's really slick and provides a lot of value to new employees and understanding the safety program that's in place. Also, just a couple other points to note: that the fire ban that's been in place for a while now was lifted, just due to some of the reduced risks tied to the weather. We got a fair amount of rain this week as well, so hopefully we'll see that lifted over the weekend and into next week. But you can always go to our website, and we do update on Facebook and such. Also, I'll note, as part of the Town of Hay River's track and field sponsorship agreement, protective services and specifically our our medical responders did provide on-site services over the event. They did see over 40 participants receiving some type of medical service, so I think it was valued to have them on site. Maybe I'll just pause to see if there's any questions around protective services.
Councillor Kusa, go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. As you just heard, SAO, we just had the CEO of the Hay River Health and Social Services here, and was talking about having paramedic services brought in this summer. This is an area that has an overlap with the town of Hay River. Would it be possible for the town of Hay River to be hiring a paramedic and to be hiring that individual out to Hay River Health and Social Services for service? And that way we might be able to have a paramedic in town 12 months of the year. Thank you.
SAO Smith?
Yeah, it's, when we had some of our emergency scenarios in recent years, we certainly had some discussion or thought about that as well, the potential to have some shared value there. But I assume they're quite busy providing hospital services. But yeah, it's a fine line between what we do as municipal services for providing ambulance and health services, and some may argue that it is really a responsibility of health as a function. So I think it's important to continue to have those kind of discussions on roles and responsibilities, or who's funding and such. So take it as a good point for future discussions. Yeah.
Thank you. Anything further? Okay. Carry on, SAO Smith.
Okay, just a few points from corporate services. So our property tax notices were mailed just within the last week or so. At least they were in my mailbox when I returned. So everyone should have received those. Again, council should remember or note that you did hold a 0% residential tax increase with the introduction of the residential solid waste levy. So we are quite busy. Actually, staff even working right now, just supporting some of the payment processing of senior rebates tied to property taxation. And just a reminder that we are now accepting credit cards for payments of residential property tax accounts with no processing fee charges. So that's a new introduction this year that council approved, just for residential accounts. We did accept credit cards before, but there was a processing fee tied to that, but no longer the case. So should help with payments. There is only a 60-day turnover for residents and businesses to pay their property taxes. We're making good progress on our 2024 financial audit, which we're a little bit behind, but really made a lot of progress in consideration of our past couple years with our audits. So we are hoping or expect to bring the audited financial statements to the Finance Committee later this month. Also, collective bargaining is set to resume later this month, so our bargaining team is just making some steps to prepare for that activity. We're also working on job descriptions. They're being finalized and evaluated to support the recruitment of some of the new positions that were created or brought in-house to support the infrastructure and planning service function, hoping that we get those advertised out after a new collective agreement is ratified. Any questions on corporate services?
Don't see anything. SAO Smith?
Okay. For recreation and community services, so a meeting with the new rec board is believed to be scheduled for this week. That meeting will just focus on orientating any of the new members and their roles and some of the planning activities that they could support for the town, and also to elect a chairperson. Our maintenance staff are busy. There's been quite a few events coming and recently at the community center. But the Fisherman's Wharf opens this Saturday, so they're out working getting that facility ready for use. And yeah, they've also been working, RecN, our tourism functions, have been working closely with the new operator, the Hay River Métis 51, to support their startup. So we wish them all the best this season and give thanks to that. Also, a lot of work going on with coordinating the musical ride, which is coming here later this summer. We do have a bit of a mini teams assembled to support that events planning and coordination activities. And communication is going out, if it hasn't already, on activities scheduled for Indigenous Peoples Day, which is June 21st. It's good to see we've got several partners, Indigenous groups and organizations in the community through the town's coordination, all tied to that event. So stay tuned for details of activities occurring that day. Also, I'll note that softball is getting into full swing with adult fast pitch already underway. The Slow Pitch League is starting play this week. I see registration and some activities happening with minor ball. Also, the town of Hay River partnered with the Hay River Slow Pitch League and the Chamber of Commerce on a Slow Pitch Corporate Challenge event that is now happening tomorrow night at the Keith Broadhead ballpark. So the town has also got a team in that, so come out and cheer them on, support the event. There's a barbecue, and yeah, music. Stevie Campbell will be doing the emceeing, so you'll know there'll be lots of laughs and some entertainment. So come on down. Any questions on recreation and community services?
Councillor Duford, go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Not a question, just a comment that, again, during the recent track meet, we had all those people in town, and I just want to commend the staff at the rec center that did a great job. The place was packed, and I mean packed there, and lots of good comments coming from all the athletes. What a great time they had going swimming, so good job. And I also wanted to say the rec center did a great job of the town, looking after the town litter cleanup this year, and thank you to all the youth groups that were involved in that, and the town looks great. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duford. Anything further? See nothing. Carry on, S.A.O. Smith.
Okay, and a few points from Infrastructure and Planning Services Department. So you'll note on the IPS month-end report the inclusion of a public works maintenance calendar. So you've got quite a long report there. Extra efforts have been made this year to really work on those planning documents and specific maintenance activities over what is a short, busy summer season. So that schedule is still a bit of a work in progress and more of an administrative tool. But anyways, we included it in the report this month just so you can get an idea as a demonstration of some of that planning work that's occurring on the maintenance side. We are in receipt of a draft version of a new cemetery site assessment. We're just working this week on some revisions to it, and there are some budget impacts that we're seeing early on, so we're going to have to bring that forward to the Finance Committee for discussion, and then we'll get it to Council, hopefully with a recommendation in July. Also, we'll have to bring to the Finance Committee a revised estimate and business case associated with the Lift Station 3 replacement project. So that's Lift Station is a predecessor for some underground infrastructure replacements that are in the asset management plan for the 553 area, and potential to support future housing developments in that Aspen Heights area. The community curbside cleanup program is still ongoing, with crews this week moving into the corridor area. So we are this go around nearing almost 4 weeks to complete that activity. So it has been quite intensive on our resources. I'm not sure if we'll be able to get some good stats on it, but certainly the time it's taking a lot longer than usual. So yeah, just given that kind of resource commitment, we are going to do a bit of a debrief afterwards and review that, and might bring some stuff forward to Council just to see. But we'll look at some of the efficiencies, costs, and the value, so you can understand that. Also, we're working with a metal recycler, scrap metal recycler right now, to process some related waste that we have at several locations within the community, the prominent ones being at the landfill and part of our old Nifty site cleanup area, but there's some other areas of town assets that we're looking get the metals out of town at hopefully a low to near zero cost. So all that diversion should be occurring over the summer. I'll pause to see if there's any questions in that area.
Councillor Bouchard?
Yeah, man, I guess the question I would have, with the reports is maybe just an update on the asset management projects and what departments have started implementing it. Obviously, there's a lot of detail in this one report, and I'm not sure if I need to know what pickup F-150 number 77 is when it's due for maintenance, but yeah, just maybe an update on asset management project as we go along going forward, and how many departments have implemented it, some of the pros and cons that we've seen in implementing the asset management plan. Thanks.
Go ahead, SEO Smith.
Sure, yeah, I think I would take it as a point to maybe get that as a regular update on the asset management project. It has been somewhat delayed for the implementation, just given that we had, there is work that's ongoing. They're focusing on the recreation assets still, getting more of that data into the system, and the rec department is using it, which you could see some of those stats in the recreation report. But our schedule did see us moving on to IPS and Protective Services Department. That's one of the positions that we're trying to recruit for that I mentioned earlier, just finalizing job descriptions, is to get that advertised so we can get some momentum going there. But just, yeah, a little bit of a pause, just shifting from Patrick into that department in some respects. So, yeah, but hopefully get some full momentum by the end of the year, resumed on it.
Thank you. Anything further from Council? Councillor Wall.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just had a question from one of the members of the Beautification Committee. They're just wondering if the fallen trees in the trail along Riverview are going to be picked up. So that was just a question. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor SAO Smith.
Yeah, thanks, your Deputy Mayor. I don't have a response to that. We've been pretty proactive on it, but I'll note it as a concern and certainly let you know.
Thank you. Anything further from Council on that? Nothing over here, SAO.
Okay, thanks. And yeah, a few points for me, again, just getting back into the office. We have been working a fair amount, or I have been, with other support on working with ECC on a specific equity land lease disposal interest. And I highlight it because it's of interest for several reasons. One, it's probably, or it could be the first time in my 7 years here that I've actually seen the commissioner dispose of land within a river. So especially in consideration of an equity lease arrangement. Yeah, a lot of times, or most of the times, including the town's applications for commissioners' lands, they've been denied or held up through the land settlement processes. So just kind of trying to observe and understand, what might be occurring there. But the second point is that when ECC has consulted on land disposals, they have previously indicated that the town would have the opportunity to acquire those lands and then dispose of the land, where we would collect revenues through the sale through that process. So in this case, that hasn't been expressed as an opportunity. And third, ECC is indicating that development restrictions will be put in place on this land disposal, on this property disposal, through the sale agreement. So both those last 2 points I think are of significant concern and precedent for the town. We've already discussed with council about how MACA has been putting in place restrictions, or suggesting restrictions would be in place for any land that we acquire as part of their floodland mitigation settlements. So yeah, we've been corresponding a fair amount with the GNWT on all of those topics. And the mayor and acting SAO did have a meeting last week with some of the elected representatives. I'm still getting a little bit more information on how that went. But I think we're really just expressing concerns and waiting their responses. So it's, yeah, you're just getting into these questions of whose authority is it for managing like land. Like we have MOUs with lands, and yeah, we're a development authority for building in flood zones. So we've already heard a lot of those concerns again in our work with MACA, and that is still ongoing as well. Yeah, you've indicated some and provided direction on interest in the land, but the stipulations that they're providing are still in kind of contravention to what is in legislation through your bylaws, and I've expressed those concerns to MACA and some to ECC, and really just waiting on responses on those concerns. But it's all even heightened by what are we doing with our zoning, or with our updated flood mapping. Like, who has authority here? How do we incorporate this in? You know, if some other department wants to be taking on the authorizations, we really need to understand these roles. So just making you aware of the concerns that we're seeing in these areas, trying our best to stick handle them. On the your housing grant, so we have acceptance letters and agreements have been drafted for recipients of the town's new and retrofit multifamily dwelling units grant. So these packages are right now sitting with our lawyers for legal review, and then should be issued to the developers this month, which is exciting, assuming that they will progress with those agreements. And the grant money associated with those units is just over $1 million. And hopefully in the next week or two, we will put out a call for applications for grants to support secondary suites that residents may want to build. Councillor Bouchard mentioned the scheduled work on the Economic Development Committee this Thursday, Oilers Game 4 night, so thanks for everyone for dedicating their time as volunteers to help on that work that night. I am in receipt of the initial draft of your corporate strategic plan, so I haven't reviewed it yet, but I will be doing that shortly and then corresponding with council on next steps. Also, I'll note on the economic development front, I am working with a couple small businesses from out of town that are in the agricultural sector that are interested in setting up business in Hay River. This is just extension of the conversations that have been occurring over the last few months. Primarily, they're looking for land. That's their seemingly biggest hurdle, or at least where we can help the most. And yeah, I've got meetings set up this week to have further conversations with those parties. And in closing, I'll note that the town has been awarded $50,000 to support its interest in developing a community climate adaptation plan. And yeah, just working to execute that agreement, and then the project would kick off soon after that and should be completed in early 2026.
Thank you, SAO. Any questions from council? Councillor Bouchard, go ahead.
I guess not really a question, but I am concerned with some of the land discussion that SAO began with some of these lots that have been turned over, potentially being turned over to us. I think, council, we need to come up with a strategic strategy, what we want to do, and basically make it in a formal motion to council that, you know, we're not pleased with some of the you know, things that are being forced on us. You know, we've had floods in the past, we've had issues in the past, and we've built to new standards, and I think to just say that we can't develop on those lands is not very conducive to the community. There's parts of the community that are right in the middle of the community that got flooded because of whether it was construction on Riverview Drive or other issues. It's just some of those areas we may not want to see development either in the future, but you know, we should be able to have our say. It's within our community, it's our land, it's being turned over to us, and we just can't have these little holes in the community where neighbors are, you know, going to have to cut the grass, or what's the issue is going to be. So I think we have to have I think we need to either make a formal complaint or request MACA or whoever's responsible for this type of decision making to come to the council and and give us a presentation on that, because I'm not pleased with the results.
I think there's probably agreement around the table on that one. Certainly is on my end. I think especially when the same government body spent money to fix properties adjacent to these properties and then are going to dictate that we can't put anything back on them. But I'm sure the point is taken at SAO Smith's level. Anything further from council? Councilor Lacusta, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess, just to agree with everybody else and follow up on what Councilor Bouchard said. In addition to that, there's a long-term cost to land use and building use restraints. And if an outside government is going to thrust that cost upon the town of Hay River, then the town of Hay River has the obligation to estimate what those costs are so they can get redress after the fact. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Right, seeing nothing, we will move on to new business. 7A, Infrastructure and Planning Services Monthly Report for April. Looking for a mover. Councillor Willows.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I move that the Council of the Town of Hay River accepts the Infrastructure and Planning Services Monthly Report for May 2025 as presented.
Thank you, Councillor. Seconded by Councillor Duford. Any questions to the motion? All right, agreed to take forward.
Agreed.
7B, Recreation and Community Services Monthly Report for April. Looking for a mover. Councillor Duford, go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'll move the recommendation that the Council of the Town of Hay River accepts the report entitled Recreation and Community Services Monthly Report for May 2025 as presented.
Thank you. Looking for a seconder. Councillor Bouchard. Any questions to the motion? All right, seeing none, all agreed to take forward.
Agreed.
7C, Municipal Services Monthly Report for April. Looking for a mover. Councillor Willows.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I move the recommendation the Council of Town of Hay River accepts the Municipal Enforcement Report for May 2025 as presented.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Bouchard. Any questions to the motion? Agreed to take forward. 7D, Emergency Services Monthly Report for April. Looking for a mover. Councillor Wall.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I move the recommendation that the Council of the Town of Hay River approves the Emergency Services Activity Report for May 2025 as presented.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Duford. Any questions to the motion? Seeing none, agreed to take forward.
Agreed.
All right, there were no notice. Oh, excused absence, sorry. 7E, excused absence. Looking for a mover. Councillor Bouchard.
Yes, thank you, Worship. I move the Council of the Town of Hay River excuses Councillor Gagne and Mayor Jamieson from Standing Committee of Council Tuesday, June 10th, 2025.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Wall. Any questions? Agreed to take forward? All right, there were no notices of motion. SAO Smith, was there anything in camera? All right, nothing in camera. So, Councillor Willows.